Wow, they just keep coming. Fix one, another one replaces it. This is kind of an odd combination. It's a 1976 Suzuki RM frame, mated to a 1987 and a half engine. And I think the 77s had, what was their piston size? I believe it was like 66, where these are 67s. Yeah, they changed the stroke and bore slightly in 78. Gentleman who owns this bike says it doesn't shift, doesn't it runs good, but it doesn't shift. And it says he's only got 3 gears, and we're gonna crack this baby open and see why it's got 3 gears. But while we're doing that, we're gonna freshen her up also. Put maybe possibly new rings. Just dingle ball the cylinder so the new rings got something to bed into. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting project. The RM Suzukis were kind of a breakthrough bike for Suzuki on account of they started with, this was 76 was the first like really long. 75 also there's a few 75 RMs, but they had the downpipes, which are really rare. 76 had the up pipe, but they were the first to do the lay down suspension. Honda and Kawasaki and even Yamaha were playing a catch-up game with Suzuki because they were just out there quicker than the rest. But yeah, she's a kind of a rough gal, but she's a gal. Not gonna do anything crazy. Just get her in racing shape and find out. There's a budget I have to stay in. Other than that, just gotta tidy things up, I think. Other than that, it like the same thing. He wants to put his air box in and stuff like that. So we are going to. Oh, there's the other kind of interesting thing that came out this year was a lot of the parts, like the engine, was magnesium, and they wanted to make sure you've seen the magnesium, but the backing plates were also magnesium on Suzuki's. I don't think the hubs were; they were aluminum. But I think because the factory bikes had magnesium hubs. A little rusty spokes. I don't know. People go crazy when they see some rusty spokes, but I've never broken one, so I'm not afraid of them. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting project. Just gently pry it up. It should be coming out now. little bit more. Let's get on the back side here. There we are. Ah, boy, let's see. They don't look bad. Why is it not shifting? Oh, that one's rocking pretty good. Oh, there's one rocking up and down, side to side. That's not good. All right. This is your clutch input. And this is your output shaft. It's got the sprocket on it. Crank don't look bad. It looks like it got rusty. But the bearings look good. They're 6305s. It's a pretty common size for these. They feel good. I don't think I'm going to mess with those at all. What I'm feeling for is movement in the bearing. If there's any movement going on. I really don't feel anything. Like, it's pretty tight. Which it should be, because this is, you know, it's filled with heavy duty oil. It should feel quite tight. But this transmission has got me wondering what's going on. Well, I'm going to have to mock up the shifter again and shift it back and forth and see what's going on. Be back in a minute. There we go. Well, this is a first for me. It's missing one whole gear. There's supposed to be a gear here. And it's gone. It's disappeared. I've never seen that before in my life. Whoever worked on it must have forgot to put it in. But it's not, I mean, there's one like this one gear it's rocking a lot. That's not good. It's got a lot of rock to it. They all have a little bit. That one's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's fifth gear. It's missing. Yeah, look. I thought maybe it fell out. You know, I'm looking all over the shop. I'm looking under the bench. I'm looking everywhere. And I'm like, because I moved it over here to set up so I could shift it and see why it wasn't shifting. And then when I look, and it's missing a gear. And it's amazing that this thing shifted at all. I'm sure it shifted in the back gears because they're kind of captive. But once you got the fourth gear, there's none there to hold it in place. Isn't that the craziest thing? It's unbelievable. I mean, it could have worked. Yeah, it did shift. I got it up to third, but that's as far as it would go. But I think once you got into fourth, this thing would shift over. This gear would shift over. Because there's nothing to hold it. supposed to be a gear there. Wow. I ain't never seen anything like that before in my life. That's insane. What a deal. Yeah, I just wanted to mock it up and shift it through the gears and see why. And I'm like, man, this thing it's just refusing to shift. The mechanism isn't that. Something's going on with the mechanism to shift it. I don't think they put that in correctly either. Because it just will not. Just refuses to shift. So like right there, it should have shifted. See how it pushes that gear out? And shift it again, but now it's in some really weird gear. See, it's not rotating the drum at all. There it goes. A little bit. It's like it's not rotating the drum either. Like the drum is stuck. The shifter drum is stuck. The whole thing is just not snappy or nothing. It's just weird. I've never had to. I'll have to look this up a little bit and just kind of get a better feel of what the heck they're doing here. But man, that is weird. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Well, that's the deal with the RM250. Hey guys, still messing around with the 85 Suzuki. The one that had the missing gear. Well, it's unmissing now. Back in. I was just cleaning it. Man, this thing was somebody rebuilt the engine because there's a new Vinco piston in it. I'm just kind of cleaning it. This was all rusty and just gnarly. Cleaned it all up. You can see the pitting. So there obviously was water in this poor thing for a while. I was thinking of going with Boys and Reeds. The only knock I have against Boys and Reeds is they will break, they do crack, and then they get sucked into the engine. And because they're made out of carbon fiber, the old ones are made out of fiberglass. The newer ones are made out of carbon fiber. Well, carbon fiber is a very dense material. And when something, like carbon fiber hits metal parts, yeah, see they're not, I don't see any light going through there, so that's good. That's the old school reed valve. They were Suzuki's were a combination piston port reed valve, reed case reed combination, and nothing wrong about that. And I know nothing against it. You know, their track record is proven, so they know what they're doing. That was, you ever get a chance to read a really good book? It's called Stealing Speed. And you can, that kind of, that whole era, back in 58, 59, Suzuki was looking to make some strides in the Japanese motorcycle industry, and they did the East German government, and who they didn't get the actual engineer. It was the guy he was the racer that was working with the engineer. I love it when they wedge something in there. That's nice. But yeah, he was the one that actually gave up the all that information for speed, MZ speed secrets, which is kind of neat. That's a neat story in its own right. And yeah, it was just an odd thing that they did back then. And just the guy that worked at NZ, he was an airplane engineer, and if you know the history of motorcycling, even in America, airplane engineering played a heavy role in the design and engines of motorcycles, and a lot of companies in Germany, Italy, France, Spain, they all of those companies had airplane backgrounds in design. And the German engineer that designed, what clued him in was not only, like, if you look at this engine, it's got 4 transfer ports, 1 piston port, and then the reed valves. Any rate, where the guy made strides was he was the designer of the pulse rocket, and he understood pulsation, and that's, he was able, just by that fact alone, he was able to extract 10, 15 more horsepower out of a 250, 125 engine, where others were only able to get, like, his stuff was, around 20 horsepower range for 125s, where everybody else was, hanging in the 15s and 10s, 12 horsepower range. He was way ahead of the curve as far as the design of that. And that was all due to the pulse. he figured out how to make expansion chambers through pulse wave technology. It's kind of a neat story. But at any rate, the racer was he saw the writing on the wall that the Russia was gonna take over East Germany, and Suzuki got him out of East Germany. He was doing a race in Spain or Italy someplace, and Suzuki went and sent a airplane ticket to Japan, and he flew to Japan, but he flew to Japan with all of the engineers' books and tricks, and Suzuki got a hold of that, and they were like, "Oh my, this is awesome!" And the rest is history. They were, that whole technology put Suzuki so far ahead of the curve compared to everybody else in two-stroke technology in Japan. All right, so I got that back on. The cylinder don't look bad, still has the cross hatches in it, and we're gonna put that back. We're gonna put this back on. This engine, bolt her down, and move on from there.